All right, so today we're going to attempt to model this ME163 comet, the Messerschmitt 163 comet. The reason why I chose this aircraft is because it is very, very simple. It is just essentially it's a wing, right? A body with wing and then a vertical fin attached to it. So for a modeling subject, right, this is a very good subject for modeling. So if you can go over to this page and scroll down until you find the SVG graphics, the 3-view drawings right at the bottom. Right, so you can click on this, right mouse click on it, and you can say Save Image As. Right mouse click on the SVG. I want you to save this image into your source images folder. You can save it as a PNG, right? Save it inside your project's source images folder. Now, before we bring it into Maya, right, we have to do some process to it. Okay, so you can go over to Photoshop. All right, so I already launched, okay, this one is the SVG version, but please make sure you download the PNG version if you can. So I'm going to open the image, and I managed to download it as a PNG. Okay, it's fairly detailed, okay, but we need to do something in Photoshop for it. All right, so I know some of you who have never used Photoshop before, but it is relatively simple to use, I mean comparatively to Maya. So if you open up Photoshop, okay, so this is the user interface that you have. You have a color picker, you have a selection tools here, pen, you have a lasso tool, and so on. Okay, but we are only going to be doing some adjustments, right, to this image. So we are not going to go into detail about Photoshop today. So what we want to do is to do an operation where we change the size of our canvas. If you look at the image right now, the aspect ratio is not square. Okay, in order to make it easy, right, for the image to show in the correct aspect ratio, either you create an image plane in Maya, right, that follows the same axis or same pixel values, or you can just simply change it into a square image. Because when you go into Maya and you create a plane, right, a plane object, right, is always square. So what we want to do is in Maya, right, we want to texture map that image, right, into this plane and later use it as our image reference. Okay, so let me just set my project back to the project that we have. All right, so back in Photoshop, with the image open, I want you to go to click on image and then choose canvas size. All right, so the image size is 800 pixels by 1081 pixels. So what we want to do is to make sure that the longest number of pixels, right, matches the shortest. So all you have to do is just copy the pixels, which is the longest, that means the height here, and paste it over the width. And when you click OK, you should end up with a square image like that. Now if you look at the color picker here at the bottom here, right, the background should be white, okay, which is what we want. Okay, so once you're happy with it, you can save this image, file, save, can overwrite the original image. Okay, so now your image, right, should be a square image. So we can verify by checking our project folder. So remember, your images should always be saved inside your source images folder. Okay, so this is the image that I've edited. I can double click on it just to view it, and I should expect to see a square. Okay, right now I'm not seeing a square, so maybe I should save again. So file, save as, I'm going to give it another name. Okay, maybe I want to shorten the name a little bit, call it ME163 blueprint. Then just click OK for the default options. Then I will go over and check again. So here we have the blueprint, the newly saved image. If I double click on it, I should expect to see a square layout. Okay, I think I'm not seeing the square layout is because maybe this part here is transparent. Okay, so yes, you can see here, this checker pattern here is transparent. So if you look at the lower right hand corner of your Photoshop, right, there is a layer system. I just want to make sure that this thing is white. So I'm going to create a new layer by clicking on this plus sign here. So create a new layer. Okay, in Photoshop layering system, right, you can click and drag the layers in whichever manner you want. So I'm going to take the new layer and drag it to the bottom. Then I'm going to fill it with the white color. So edit, okay, fill with, here, fill. Okay, edit fill. Okay, and instead of foreground color, which is black, I'm going to fill it with white. Then click OK. Right now you can see here is completely white. So now we have two layers. We have the white background and then the layer that we originally have. And then we can do a quick export as PNG. And then I'll just overwrite this blueprint image. Okay, so now definitely I'm pretty sure that I have a square image. So double click on blueprint image, I should see a square image. So why is it so important to create a square image, which I will show you right now. So once you created this square image, you can go into Maya. I'll start from the beginning. I'll delete away this plane. Okay, so how to bring in the image to use as a reference. So first, I will create a plane, a normal plane. Shift right mouse click and then choose plane. Then I'm going to scale this plane up until it goes beyond the grid. Okay, you can make it bigger if you want. All right, really depends on the scale that you want to work with. But please don't use the tiny plane. So usually I will scale it up beyond the grid. Then next, I want to apply a new material. So with the plane selected, right mouse click on it, assign new material. And then I want to assign a particular shader called the surface shader. So click on surface shader. And then go to the material property. So you can right mouse click on it and go to material attributes, and it will bring you straight to the surface shader properties. So under the out color, click on this checker box here. This is where you decide what type of files or shader you want to put onto this surface. So the out color, I'm going to choose, click on the checker box, and then I'll say I want to bring in a file. I want to bring in an image file, which is here. So click on File. And then under the file folder here, this is quite similar to what you all did for your space shuttle exercise. So click on the folder, and then we can click on the Messerschmitt blueprint, and you can see that it's a square image, and then open. And by now we should be able to see the image on your viewport. And now if you don't see your image, don't panic, because we are not in our texture display mode. So you need to press 6 in order to see the texture. So you press number 6, you should see the reference image appearing right before your eyes. So right now, the next thing we want to do is to align the image right so that we can use it for our modeling exercise. Okay. Now, one warning about getting blueprints online. Because sometimes blueprints that you find online, right, might not be as beautiful and nice as this. Because if you look at this one, right, they actually line up the tail nicely for you. The nose already lined up nicely for you. And then the wingtip already lined up nicely for you. There are some blueprints, right, sometimes they throw you off. They'll give you the side view slightly smaller, or then the top view slightly longer. Or worse, the image is distorted. So you cannot use it properly. So normally, right, when I bring it into Photoshop, I will do some tests first. I'll do things like drawing guidelines and all that. Now, these are additional information. So I'll do things by drawing guidelines from the rulers, by dragging them out like that. Okay, and then to check that they are all lining up and all that. So we will go through this exercise again in another lesson, but in order to keep it simple, I'm skipping this step. But normally, right, I will do this step. I'll check, confirm that all the views, right, line up properly. If not, it will not be a very good reference. So anyway, now that I brought into Maya, I can do my lineup. Okay, so first you have to rotate the first plane. I want to line up my side view first. Remember the space shuttle now? Everything got a side view, front view, and top view. You have to line it according to the views. Y'all remember that? Okay, so let me undo this. Holding down the J and then rotating 90 degrees. I want to rotate this 90 degrees. Holding down the J and then grabbing the rotate tool. Remember your rotate tool is E, go to rotate. And then I'm going to press W to push this back. Okay, remember our front view, our front view is the Z-axis, our side view is the X-axis. So if I want to look at the side view, is from the right view here. Okay, remember, tap the space bar, left mouse click on Maya and right view. So you can see our right view is visible here. And we want to bring our reference down so that the reference right of this image is the wheel is touching the thick line over here. Okay, so next, okay, we push this image aside already, right? Then we want to bring the top view so that we can view it from the top. Now, naturally, we need to duplicate this, right? We need to duplicate this plane so that we have a top view reference. So to duplicate, you press, what's the shortcut key? Anyone? Yeah, Shift D or Control D, yeah? Okay, Control D, then press E to rotate, then holding down the J and then rotate it until the plane, right, is 90 degrees so that when you look from the top view, right, you can see the plane nicely aligned at the top view. But however, you can see the thick line over here. We are supposed to move this plane until it sticks right at the center here. Okay, so you want the thick line, right, which represents the Z-axis. Okay, over here you can see the Z-axis. Okay, now it's pointing towards. So now my top view is aligned. Okay, with the top view aligned ready and it's at the bottom, that is fine. Now we need the front view, right? So we need the front view. So we need to duplicate another reference. So you can press Ctrl D, duplicate. And then we can lift this one up slightly and rotate it 90 degrees forwards. So holding down the J, rotate this view forward until it's 90 degrees. Then we can change to front view. And you can see the front view, right, is the center is already lined up. Only the bottom here, you can see this line here, is not lined up with the thick line. So I'm just going to grab it and push it upwards. Okay, so now we have our three views lined up. Okay, so if you're doing this for the first time, I understand it can be very confusing and very tricky. But if you do it several times, right, you just try to follow this alignment, right, then you will get it. Now, in order to reduce confusion as to which view is which, we need to tweak our planes. Okay, that means we need to modify the plane. So go over to our right view. And what we're going to do is that we're going to get rid of the top and the front view, because this is our right view. So go over to multi-cut tool and then insert one edge loop just below the bottom of the aircraft like that. Right. Then press Q to select the bottom face, right mouse click the face mode and select the bottom face and delete it. So now we know for certain this is our side view. Okay, now for front view, we select the front view plane, switch over to front view, do the same thing, shift right mouse click, use the multi-cut tool, holding down the control, we're going to slice it across right below the wheel, and maybe you want to slice across here as well at the wingtip. Then press Q to select, and then select these faces and delete, delete, delete. So now we only have the front view. Now if you want to trim the top, it's entirely up to you. Okay, you can shift right mouse click, use the multi-cut tool, holding down the control and trim the top. Press Q, go and select the top face and delete it away. So now we have our side view isolated, the front view isolated. Now left the top view. So let's go over to the top view. Remember the space shuttle exercise, you all remember what is the top, front and side. So now this is the top view, so we want to keep the top view. So select the face, go to face selection mode. You can use your toolkit to choose to find the multi-cut. Then holding down the control, and then we're gonna trim this and trim this. Press Q to go back to select. Select this top face, delete. Select this face, delete. Select this face, delete. So now we have our 3 views aligned. You can push this all the way to the back, doesn't matter. You can push this all the way to the back, doesn't matter here, and then push it to the bottom, doesn't matter. Because in the orthographic view, right, they won't change in scale. All right, so we have our side view nicely done. We got our top view nicely done. And then we have our front view nicely done. Okay, so for the right view here, I'm going to trim it some more, just to get rid of the excess here. And then we have the 3 views already aligned. Now you can save. Now before you save, right, because we know that our front view, our right view, and then our top view are nicely done already, right? So I want to put all these views, right, into another layer, okay, in Maya's layer system. So we're going to select all these reference, and then we're going to put it in its own layer, okay, over here. Make sure you go to the channel box layer here. Then under layers, while the 3 objects are selected, go to click on layers and create layer from selected. So double click on this layer to name it, rename it. We're going to call this our IMG-REF, which stands for image reference. Okay. So display type, you can change it to reference. So I'm going to save it first. I'm going to show you quickly how you can change it to reference. So you can turn it on and off by clicking on the V. Okay, remember the layer reference, right? You can click on V to turn it on and off quickly. Or you can click on this until it becomes R, so that it becomes reference. So when it becomes reference, right, you cannot adjust them anymore. Or rather, you cannot select or move them anymore. So maybe that is sometimes the setting that you want. Okay, so remember you can come over here to click V to turn it on and off. Okay, so once you set that, okay, we can start to save our file first. I'm going to save scene as ME163 exercise. All right. So that is how to set up the image references. Okay, in fact, I'm going to stop recording for this part here. So this recording will be only on setting up references.